Hello. Well, let's talk about you. I'll have to go at about noon-ish, a little bit after noon. So, um, what how are you doing? Yeah. So, the reason I presented you with that talking boundary for like a journaling guideline is because what I find that most people do, and this is what I did, and I find I see a lot of people do the same thing, is like if I say, oh, journal about it or whatever, then it ends up being more like he came in and he did this and he was really pissed off and he blah 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 and then I cried and or whatever and I felt and it made me feel bad or whatever like yeah, like instead of it actually being about like us and our process, like I find that like with journaling sometimes it can actually just keep us in this like kind of unproductive like obsessive thinking, right? So that's why I use that PM Mellody talking boundary as like a method for the journaling to like be productive and seeing like how whatever external stimulus happens, like then delving into like our thoughts and feelings about it, you know? So if, but what you're saying, it sounds to me that like you're, even though you're deviating from that format, that you're still being pretty productive and you're saying that you're putting out, let me make sure I understand, you're saying you're putting your thoughts and feelings out in journaling. And then as you're journaling, you can actually start to see some of the thoughts and feelings that are like more about like your wounded inner self or child self. And then from that you will actually engage in dialogue with that part of yourself. Well, so what I'm hearing though, do you mind if I come in? So, um, right now you're doing this work on yourself, which is requiring you to withdraw some of your energy out of your relationship and into yourself. And I I'm feeling and thinking that part of you saying that you feel like you're abandoning him, like that's part of it. And then what you're saying now too is also is what you're doing not only for your own work but also just sort of reevaluating the way you're working your relationship and behaving in your relationship is you're no longer like caretaking him. So before you would do these things to like consciously like make him feel, I guess, like better, you know, if he's having a migraine you rub his head or whatever, you know. When I say caretaking, I don't mean like serving him a plate of food. When I say caretaking, I mean exactly like teaching or like showing the way, or even for example like I have had experiences with someone that like if I for example like I have someone that I have to give some bad news to or whatever, like even me like presenting my my emotions or myself or my side, my stuff to them. I caretake people's feelings. I can at least by like making it different, you know what I mean? Versus like if I just like was like if I just like made up in my head like their journey is their journey and like I have no power over how they respond. You see what I'm saying? Like that's how I use caretaking. Like when I think that I have power over like how someone else's feelings are or whatever, um then that's actually part of my pattern is like caretaking. I try to caretake other people's feelings. um um so and then you even did say that like you are doing or have at least in the past done these like physical actions such as like rubbing his head when he has a migraine, and now you're just like, oh, you can just take an ibuprofen or whatever. Oh, of course, of course. But right now, as you're withdrawing some of your energy in, you feel like you're abandoning him, is what you're saying? No, exactly. So I agree that like moving forward long term in a relationship, like there's it's good and healthy to like have some responsibility as a member of a relationship, like just as if we're like a member of a community, like being like a good quote unquote like citizen of that state or community. It means like to some degree, and this is part of my opinion, um is like uh having a consideration for how my behavior impacts the thing that I'm a part of, right? And that's like I feel like being a responsible member of the relationship. So no, exactly, exactly. So now you're saying though that like so let me back up. So long term, it's not that we need to just like I don't give a fuck, blah 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 blah. This is me, and I have and just like be rude or not considerate of like anyone else's um experience. But that's exactly like you said, like doing this exercise in sort of just trying it on for size in sort of a practice to see what choices are we making because they're actually choices for us, and then what choices and what behaviors are we making because it's not even a choice that we have, but it's actually this compulsive need that we have. And what I'm hearing from you is that it's possibly a need to be needed, a need to feel like, oh well, if I'm here for him. And that's actually what I did with one of my previous partners. Like I did this thing where I was like very sacrificial, and I helped him with some of these goals and dreams that he was striving for. And we even had an agreement that like after X time, like things would go back to normal. I let him know the entire time, like, this is not how I want things to be. But like I didn't realize like I was doing it because I subconsciously thought that like he would love me then, that like I was securing our relationship by not by being there for him. I thought that like that somehow made it where he would be there for me. So yeah, so I totally hear that, for sure. And there's really no way of knowing, because like you said, like you do have like a lot of healthiness going on with yourself and with your thinking. But definitely by having some of these bottom lines around withdrawing your energy, then you can start to feel, if it starts to feel like you're freaking the freak out because you're not doing these, then it starts to indicate to us that it's actually not a free choice that we're making, but a selfish choice that we're doing because of some other desire that we have of attachment to like this result that we want, versus just like the fruit of the action without like the desire for like, oh, what this looks like, for our own benefit. So no, no, absolutely not. I mean, definitely thinking about, oh goodness, definitely thinking about using your judgment. Yeah, I know my phone just did this weird thing. Um, no, so I mean, when when I advocate for you in particular, right now, a bottom line around not sharing your process of your thinking or the process of your feeling, and not talking about anything abstract, but instead only talking about tangible wants and needs. I don't mean that to say um like don't have conversations with him about like anything or whatever, but I think like when it comes to like anything, any kind of like you having these thoughts and feelings about the relationship, about like, for example, you saying this about the porn usage and his idea that his sex life he's entitled to, I mean, at least as far as like within certain guidelines, like, but any of that kind of like, this is what I think and this is my position, this is what I feel, or or whatever, like, but yeah, of course, like, he's your partner, and like just try to just enjoy your guys's I would advocate for just trying to enjoy the company that you do get and just notice. And that's actually what I do as part of all this too. Notice what you get and notice what you don't get. And don't get into any of this philosophical, abstract ideas about things you think and feel, but just can you just be present and enjoy his company or not enjoy his company, or have have interactions. I'm not saying have low engagement with him. I would actually, on the opposite, say keep the engagement high, but just when it comes to keep your cards close to your heart right now, because right now what you've been doing is kind of not practicing self-containment, right? And so what I'm saying is self-containment, right? When it comes to anything that's just maybe triggering for you guys, just don't go there unless you have a tangible want or need. No, exactly. And remember when we first started talking about this bottom line, that's exactly what I was talking about too. Like, I didn't even realize like how much of my behavior and my thought process and my stuff was actually even around that. Like, I started realizing, like, I started seeing parts of myself differently once I said, oh, I'm no longer going to do this or that. Then it's like, well, I don't know. I found my mind like trying to find sneaky ways to still do that because I didn't know what else to do, The thing is, though, is honestly, I think it's really good for you. First of all, we definitely should, well, I hate the word should. It's my least favorite word. But we could set up another time to talk pretty soon to go over some of the history work that you've done. Because here's the thing too, is I actually in a way think that you're actually getting a really good deal right now by not being able to use sex to medicate the pain that's coming up for you. And I actually think that right now, with you doing some more work on your history, that it could even be that now it's like, because you've actually been doing real well. I have felt from our conversations with some of your obsessive thinking about his masturbation or pornography use, and then now that you've been sort of doing more of this history work, now this is like coming up for you more, where you're like kind of getting into this obsessive thinking more like about him and like what he's doing, what he's not doing. But I've noticed our conversations like shift a little bit more. Like, before you start doing some of this work, like, I felt like your energy around it was a little like just a little different. And now I feel like especially with like, 'cause we'll text sometimes, and I feel like and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like maybe your mind is also trying to distract itself from some of the work you're doing with this present situation, so it's interesting. So of course, as always, I advocate for you to take what I say like a buffet, and take what you want and take it to your higher power and figure out what works for you, because there is no anything. But I will say that my own journey with masturbation is such that I advise other people to use masturbation, to masturbate, to be sexual with themselves, only if they can do it while staying present, So one of the things, like, for me, like, if you can think about yourself and how much you love and accept yourself, and really just generate a feeling of warmth for yourself that comes from a place of genuine compassion, and really being present with the breath, present with your body's physical sensations. And if you watch your mind and all of a sudden you start to think about as if you're in having sex with someone else or any kind of like fantasies come up or whatever, exactly, then I would say stop, and only resume when and if we can actually be present. And some people, I'm not even sure if they know what that means. Do you meditate at all? Like, because I know you do the tapes and like the guided meditations, but do you ever just meditate where you sit with your body? So, so definitely, like I think meditating is and yoga is actually wonderful for masturbation and healthy sexual energy practices. Because like being able to be present with the body in those in a meditation where our mind is off, but instead we're just in connection with the body. Um, is is a really great practice. So yeah, so I mean, definitely think about that when you're talking to your Um, do you want to chat? Uh, do you want to chat again tomorrow? I actually have the day off tomorrow, so I have a lot of availability tomorrow. I think, but since I'll be like, long story short, I'll be leaving here and driving to Boulder, and I'm pretty sure that I can make it to Boulder and like make it to somewhere that has internet or whatever by that time. So it might even have to be like 9:30 or something like that my time. Um. Yeah, okay. So just talk to him and then tell me then. Um, exactly. So we'll just do that. No, I am. I'm here for the month, but I get Thursdays off, and so Boulder is about, I don't know, like a 45-minute drive from here. So I'll stay here and eat breakfast and then drive into Boulder. And I'll probably do like a float tank tomorrow as well. I don't know, maybe not, but a float tank? It's like where you get into this like big thing with Epsom salt water and like you like float, and it's like, and they turn all the lights off, and it's like the temperature is the same as your body temperature or whatever, and so it's pretty cool. So anyways, I'll let you go. I gotta go eat lunch, but yeah, just I guess message me and let me know what'll work for you. You're welcome. Thank you. I'll chat with you soon. Have a great day.